And joining me now is CTV News political commentator Scott Reid. Scott, good to see you. So lots of reaction to this move by Mark Carney in recognition of Palestinian statehood. Among those reacting is Donald Trump, threatening trade talks. What do you make of this? Is this just another tactic?
You know, it's difficult to ever know what's going on in Donald Trump's mind. But look, the prime minister for days now has used the word complex to describe the negotiations and the discussions going back and forth between Canada and the United States with respect to some sort of new trade deal, notionally for tomorrow. That's our deadline, August 1st. There can be no question that this move will complicate that. And we see an immediate reaction from Donald Trump, who stood steadfast beside Israel. Even Trump has been critical of Bibi and his refusal to permit food and aid into Gaza. But nevertheless, we see him drawing a line here. I would say two things. On the one hand, you can look at this and say, well, surely this is going to complicate further trade talks between Canada and the United States. You could equally look at it and ask yourself, is it possible, knowing what the likely response was from Donald Trump, that this move would have occurred had we been on the verge of some sort of breakthrough beneficial deal? So in some ways, you could read the decision yesterday with respect to Palestine as very insightful about where we are on trade talks, because I don't think that announcement would have been made if we were on the verge of a breakthrough. And so I think it's yet again another sign that we're pretty far away from agreement.
Interesting. Now, the Conservatives have criticized Carney's move to recognize a Palestinian state, saying that it sends the wrong message. What is your take on that, Scott?
There are no shades of gray on this debate. Even as we heard from community reaction there, political reaction is absolutely going to be the same. This is a black and white issue. This is a for or against issue. And I guess from my perspective, you know, the real tipping point that we've seen, not just with Canada, but with France, with the United Kingdom, with others, has been the desire to exert some pressure on Bibi, Prime Minister Netanyahu, to permit greater access for food and aid. And I read this, I mean, perhaps this declaration will proceed. Perhaps Hamas will withdraw. Perhaps the Palestinian Authority can wrestle control politically, culturally, away from Hamas. Perhaps the hostages will be released. We'll see. I'm skeptical, to be blunt. However, perhaps this is also really fully intended to place greater pressure to build a ring internationally around Bibi to try to persuade him to finally do more in terms of just a pure human relief in Gaza.
When it comes to the trade negotiations with the deadline coming tomorrow, what effect will this have on that?
Well, it can't help. But as I said, in some ways, I look at it and I see yesterday's announcement as a further indication that the two sides must be pretty far apart. Because if we're on the verge of a beneficial agreement between Canada and the United States, I think that the timing of the Palestinian statehood decision probably would have been altered. So I'm not betting heavily that we're on the brink of a breakthrough. Perhaps the deadline will get kicked down the road. Perhaps Donald Trump will react in peak and initiate a new suite of threatened tariffs. I really think we're going to be watching tomorrow with eyes wide open. But I'll tell you, I would be shocked, absolutely jaw on the floor, if we ended up with some sweeping deal the Canadians could look at and say, wow, that really works for us and our interests. It just doesn't seem like Donald Trump is in the mood to do anything that benefits anyone other than him, his White House, and his ego.
All right, Scott, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it as always. That is CTV News political commentator Scott Reid.